so amazing to see people. It's been so long. We've had a really rough 18 months, haven't we? But it's been especially difficult for me because my name is Karen. I'm gonna tell you, I don't like this Karen thing. I think it's mean. I think it's discriminatory. I think it's bigoted. But I can't say anything because that's a total Karen thing to do. A friend of mine said to me, I don't get it, what is this Karen thing? I said, basically, it's a middle-aged white woman who throws a fit every time she doesn't get her way and asks to speak to the manager. And she said, oh, what are male Karens called? And I said, men. It's not as if this name has ever been a benefit for me. It's not an especially pretty name. No one's ever said to me, what's your name? And I said, my name is Karen. And they said, oh, what a beautiful name. I'm gonna name my daughter Karen. No one ever intends to name their child Karen. I think it's what you name your girl if you thought you were gonna have a boy. My son said to me, you know, your name is radioactive, it reeks of elitism and mental instability. And I said, what, Karen? And he said, no, mommy. Teenagers. I have 2 teenagers, 15 and 17. I love, love, love them so much because they give me so much material. Maybe not as much now, because they'll get mad, and I need somebody to help me with my computer. But when they were younger, boy, I mean, I remember when my little one was about 4 years old, he said to me, he said, Mommy, when I grow up, if I have a little baby, does that mean you're gonna be a grandma? I said, oh, you are dear. That's what it means. And then his older brother, who's kind of a smarty pants, like he refers to me as his birth mother. He says, Mommy, when I grow up, if I don't have a baby, does that mean you're just gonna be an old lady? And I said, you're right. And instinct tells me, with that level of charm, you're gonna be my roommate. I think they hated my cooking. I heard one of them say to the other, even her noodles are bad. The older one said to me, Mama, Grandma's a better cook than you. The only thing I like better that you make than what Grandma makes is soup. And that's because you make less of it. I'm like, that's so interesting, because the only thing I like about you, better than your little brother, is your school day is longer. At least he's honest, right? At least he's honest. My little one was something of a liar. I remember when he was only 2, he went to his very first birthday party. He'd eaten 2 cupcakes. He was a little chubby, fat, whatever, relaxed if you shop at the Gap. And he said, may I have another cupcake? And I said, no. He said it again. May I have another cupcake? And I said, no. And then he turns to the mom of the birthday boy. May I have another cupcake? She's like, your mommy said no. And he said, that's not my mommy. He would throw me under a bus for icing. He was so cute at that. I remember just him sitting on my lap, staring into my eyes. And then suddenly he said, oh, Mommy, what's that? And I said, what? He said, the lines. What are those lines? And I said, oh, honeybee, those are called wrinkles. You can only see them up close. Jumped off my lap, ran to the other side of the room, and said, I can still see them. The hardest thing, I think, when you have little kids is the questions. It's constant, and you have to have patience. One day, my older son wouldn't stop. Mama, if you were to give birth to a crater, would you rather it be a girl crater or a boy crater? Mama, what if I ate a building? Mama, how many dimes will fit in my room? Mama, when was the first time you ever smelled a banana? So I'm having a stroke. I don't know if it's a real stroke, but it's like that vein here is like popping, right? And then he asks a real question. He goes, Mama, what's a baby cow called? And I'm like, a veal. And I realized I needed a breath, right? I needed a breath. And I said, honeybee, let's just go 5 minutes. 5 minutes, please, with no questions. Why, Mama, why? Why no questions? Don't you love me? I love you. Why don't you love me? 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 Why don't you? I called my husband and told him this. He's like, now you know what it's like to have a wife. I really, really don't want to sound like all I do is complain, right? I love my kids. I think they're great. But who wants to hear a stranger get up for 10 minutes and brag about their kids, right? You know those parents, the ones that put them on the phone, their kid on the phone with you the second they learn a word. Sometimes they have them answering the phone even though they can't process or transcribe information. I call my friends up to wish them a Merry Christmas. I get this. I'm like, cute, no such thing as Santa Claus. Can you put your mommy on the phone? Or they tell you every single thing the kid says and thinks, even when it's something you never want to hear. My friend called me up just last week. She said, you know what, Karen? My Jordan likes your hair better the other way. I said, well, your Jordan called me and asked me how he could contact social services. Too much information, right? Even on the birth announcement, people have to give you the exact weight of their baby. Like I care. I want to know the weight of the mother. Sure if I'd be a good mom. I was really insecure. And then I realized I knew I was ready at this one time. I'm going to share it with you. I was on an airplane, and there was a little boy, he must have been 2 years old, like right behind me, crying and crying, and I felt awful. I'm thinking, what can I do? And then I remembered I had a piece of candy in my pocket. I took it out, I plopped it in my mouth, and then I felt a whole lot better. The worst offenders are the people with the Christmas card newsletters. Those, you know those, right? Where people just a series of brags. Every so often, there might be a footnote with a reference to fat camp, but generally, it's a lot of self-praise, right? We've had a powerful year. Baby Timmy, at the age of 8, has been asked to design the Freedom Tower. His little sister, Saffron Ophelia, at the age of 3, will be playing the harpsichord at Carnegie Hall. And as a family, we're all taking a walking trip around the world. I wrote my own newsletter after that one. We've had a powerful year. Baby Teddy, at the age of 4, can dismantle a phone and eat the battery in a single sitting. His older brother, Danny, picks his nose and his bottom at the very same time. And as a family, we're all taking Nexium. Now my Christmas card is basically a picture of me in front of a Chico's. And for those of you who might not know what Chico's is, it's a store for women who no longer wish to button their pants. But they can tie that outfit together with a statement necklace. The statement being, I can't button my pants. We discovered Instacart. What a great service that is. It's amazing. It's a grocery delivery service where you give you a personal shopper. It's like having a butler. You feel really rich. And the cool thing about these shoppers is if the grocery store doesn't have the item that you request, they'll replace it. And we've had the most creative shoppers you can imagine. So one time I ordered those Dr. Prager's spinach cakes, and my shopper sent me Dr. Pepper. I'm like, great, let's keep it in the medical profession, right? And one time I wasn't feeling well, I ordered chicken soup. They sent me chicken soup for the soul. Holistic, right? And they must have known that I had teenagers because when I ordered pea pods, they sent me Tide Pods. The only time I ever got upset, ever, was when I ordered butter and they sent me, I can't believe it's not butter. Okay? I can totally believe it. That stuff is not okay. So I called Instacart up and I said, hi, I asked for butter and you sent me, I can't believe it's not butter. I'd like to speak to your manager. And she said, no problem, may I get your name? And I said, it's Kamala. So my oldest son is now applying to college. Where did the time go? It's these applications are crazy. There's like 1 million pages on your racial and ethnic identity. There's if you're Hispanic, are you Hispanic from Spain? Are you Hispanic from Latin America? If you're French, are you French from Haiti? Are you French from France? Are you French from Celine Dion? You know, these applications, they're $80 a piece, and now I have to spend another $200 on a 23andMe kit? But he's fine. He's gonna be fine. He's smart, my son. He's smarter than I was. He took Spanish in school. I took French. I took French for like 8 years or something. And the way they taught French when I learned it, they taught you stuff you would never ever use ever. So they would teach things like, où est le chat? Where's the cat? Le chat est dans la piscine. The cat is in the swimming pool. So one summer, I went to France on an exchange program, and I went and I lived with a family. And I wanted them to like me. And one day when nobody was around, I took the cat and I threw it in the pool. And then the French mother came home with the mini skirt, smoking, dirty hair, but looked beautiful. And she said, où est le chat? Où est le chat? And I said, voilà, le chat est dans la piscine. My husband and I have been married for 20 years now. Right? You need the applause, right? You need the applause, you gotta keep things spicy, right? I try to get ideas from other sources, so I'm watching that show Nashville, which is the greatest show ever, and handsome Deacon is staring into the eyes of beautiful Raina, played by Connie Britton, and he says to her, whenever I look at you, I can hardly breathe. And I thought, that is so romantic. I'm gonna say that to Jan. And I wrote it down, word for word. So we're lying in bed next to each other, and I said to him, whenever I look at you, I can hardly breathe. And he said, if you turn over to your left side, it'll open up the respiratory tract. my kids tried too. Like, they got me beautiful flowers for Mother's Day. I started crying. I'm like, these are so beautiful. I love you. And my older son said, we wanted to get you the nice ones, but Daddy wouldn't let us. Speaking of Daddy, he just went to France a couple of weeks ago, and he doesn't speak any French, and he texted me from the airplane, how do you say, you're hot? In French. So I texted him back, j'ai hemorrhoids. He's good, though. He's good. He said to me, the other day, he said something I hadn't heard in a while. I think it was the pandemic. He said, you look really nice. And it had been a while, and so I didn't know whether I should be flattered, because it was a lovely thing to say, or whether I should feel resentful that it took so long for him to say it. And I decided to go with resentful, because I'm good at that. That and its sister skill, passive aggression. I am so good at passive aggression. And I'll tell you, that was the thing that got me through the pandemic. If you can't ground your kids, you have limited options. So when my kids misbehaved, I would change the passwords on all of the streaming services. But then it backfired the other night when I was trying to watch Downton Abbey, and I couldn't remember if our Amazon password was these dishes aren't gonna wash themselves, 1, 2, 3. Or hashtag a shower would be nice. Or we're only paying for state school, exclamation mark. My neighbor is having a baby. It is beyond exciting. And she was showing us her sonogram, and my son said to me, Mommy, did you have one of those? Did you have a picture of me? And I said, yes, I do. I'm so happy I could, I had something, right? And I remember I had this box with the teeth and the hair and the shoes, just like a serial killer. And I went into the box, and the sonogram wasn't there, and I didn't want to disappoint him. So I downloaded an image of Hurricane Ida, and I showed it to him, and I said, there you are. That's you. And he said, why is it in color? I said, that's the way they used to do it back then. It's like the Wizard of Oz, but in reverse. My neighbor called me the other day. She was so unhappy, crying. And she said, I don't know what to do. My cat got run over by a car. And I said, that is so awful. I know how you feel. My phone died. And she said, your phone? You're comparing my beloved pet to your phone? There's no comparison between a phone and a cat. You're a horrible person. I said, you're right. You can't listen to a podcast on a cat. And you can get a replacement cat for free. Cat people are here. Cat people are here. Let me just say this. Cats are fine if you want a stuffed animal that hates you. I'm a dog. I have a dog, okay? I have a really cute little dog, and she, my friends all have dogs too, and they're always bragging about their purebred dogs. I have a purebred German Shepherd whose grandfather was a Nazi. I have a purebred Labradoodle. I'm like, a Labradoodle is not a purebred. It's a mutt that you're paying for. My dog Tootsie is a mutt. She is so good, and we just recently made a decision that we're not going to fix her. We're teaching her abstinence only. But I go, my friends try to convince me to like their cat. They say, Karen, you'd love my cat. You'd love my cat. It's just like a dog. That's the highest compliment you can give a cat, right? It's just like a dog. But the reverse is never true. No one ever says to you, you love my dog. It's just like a cat. Because if your dog is like a cat, you got a lemon. You got a loser dog. my friends' houses with these cats, right? You walk in, you smell the cat, it's nowhere around. And so, where's that cat? The one from Facebook. With the lasers, they say, it's in the cupboard, it hates people. But if you come over here a few more times, it might become accustomed to you. I'm like, I don't want to date your cat. The thing about the pet is the unconditional love, right? Like if I leave my house for an hour, my dog Tootsie will greet me as if I'm returning home from service in Afghanistan, right? And if I'm having a really bad day, I'll sometimes leave the house, come back, leave the house, come up, leave the house, come back, just to get that greeting, because it's the greeting, right? And my dog, really special, because whenever she sees me, she gets so excited, she pees. Just a little bit, just a little bit. It is so flattering. I can't even tell you. That an animal would lose control like this because she loves me that much. And I said to my husband, you know, whenever Tootsie sees me, she gets so excited. She pees just a little bit. I wish you were that excited when you saw me. And he said, if you wait about 25 years, your dreams may come true. Anyway, that's enough for me, you guys. Thank you so much.